Hi, I'm Kyla Neill, a business coach and mentor from Australia and I'm a mum of 2.
And I'm Emilia Ohrtmann, a multi-passionate entrepreneur and a mum of 4. I am from Germany, but I live in Dubai.
In our raw and authentic episodes, we share with you business and personal tips we have learnt along the way while starting and growing our global businesses, as well as bringing you inspiring interviews with other mumpreneurs.
This is a podcast from mums for mums.
Welcome to our Mums in Biz podcast.
Welcome everybody to episode 56 of the Mums in Biz podcast. We're so excited that it is crazy. Like Kyla said, we have 56 episodes. It's amazing. I think every time now we record, we can celebrate.
I think so.
Because it is so good. And we have actually reached the end of another year together, which is also amazing. And that's why we want to do this episode today. We want to get ahead of everybody else, get ahead of the curve and start planning for 2021, at least the first quarter. Because I always think like it feels like, every year actually, not only this year, but every year feels like this year has come to an end like this, like December has come around the corner without us knowing it. And it has just arrived. And suddenly we should be planning for the next year. And then it's Christmas also coming and everything else around like December, and you're so busy. We have St. Nicholas Day today. So we had to prepare for that yesterday. And there's so much going on in December that you forget that you should actually be planning for the next year as well. Because otherwise you sit down in January and you lose so much time again. You just it is so typically you come out of like the holiday season and celebrating and so on and being with your family, and then you need to pick yourself up again and to start again. And it's so hard because actually that's then the time when you need to really sit down to plan. And then suddenly it's the middle of January or even the end of January, and that's when you actually start planning and start doing the things. So what we want to help you with and to do for ourselves as well is to sit down now, to take 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe half a day, and just plan, like review the last year and plan ahead and be ahead already. And then when you do your vision board in January, because honestly, I won't be able to do it now, but you know exactly what you want to put on there. You're not going to start like super late. And I promise you will be ahead of so many other people, because so many other people won't do it that way.
No,
so that's
they won't. They really won't. They won't. Actually, I think there is a date. I think it's the January 11th. There's actually like science proving, I think it's January 11th or 13th, that there is proof that the resolutions that people make on New Year's are pretty much over by the middle of January. Yeah. So that's why we just want to get ahead. And you're right. It's good to, obviously you can, do your goal setting now, and then you can do your vision board come January time. I think it's clear to get it in your head first and then take the time out to sit down and actually put it, pictures on paper and making sure that it's visual. I moved mine. Mine was actually on a little ottoman there for a while, but I've moved mine. It's hanging in front of my bed at the moment, above my mantle. So and then you can put it, and then it can stay there for the next 11 months or however long. So
yeah. And if you want to learn more about how to make a vision board, we recorded one episode about that as well. I cannot remember which number it was, but
very early on.
Episode. Yeah, exactly. We have
at 15, 16.
Early?
I think so, really early. But we'll put it in the show. I think she'll put it in the show notes, so then people can just click on it to go. All right, awesome.
But this episode is going to be a great motivation for you to get started and to sit down. And you can listen to this episode even if you're in the car or running or whatever. But afterwards, go and sit down and start working. Take an hour, take 2 hours. It's actually not that long. I mean, if you want to do it really properly, then you sit down longer and sit down with your team. But just for yourself, sit down in one evening with a glass of wine and just do some planning and brainstorming and
Yeah.
Okay. And we have 5 steps how we do it, right?
We do. I think it's interesting. Like, and we spoke about this before, because this year has really thrown people, a bit of a curveball, obviously, with everything that's happened. And I found that people that I've come across, I don't know whether you have, they've had a lot of personal struggles as well within their family or their own life. So I think it's made people sort of hit December time, and they're now going, oh my gosh, it's 2021 in like a month, literally in less than a month, with the 6th of January when we're recording this, 6th of December, sorry, when we're recording this. So people are, I think, a little bit frightened about planning for next year as well.
Yeah.
A little bit hesitant, because they're thinking, are we going to have a second round of what's happened this year? But I also think that if you're in that mindset already, then you're already that sort of one step behind. So because we can't foresee what's going to happen in 2021. We can't control that either. We talk about a lot of releasing control, what we do have over, and we don't have control over what's going to happen, next year with the world. But I think we do have 100% control of what obviously we put into our minds and our brains and what we feed ourselves, but also, our plan and our future and putting our goals down there as well. So, and then we'll talk about this a bit, I think, in the episode, but then, being flexible, during 2021, if they need to change, then they need to change.
That's a huge learning for everybody from 2020, actually.
Yeah, being flexible
is crucial. I mean, some goals that you might have put on your vision board, if you do vision board, but you might have put on there were just not possible this year because of everything else. But then being flexible, and it doesn't need to be that you have to achieve, the one big goal within 1 year. It can be 2 years, it can be, but it's just on there so that, there comes a time you don't forget about it.
No.
And you do start working on it. I mean, there's always a way to work on the things in little bits. And, even if you are locked in your home and cannot leave the house at the moment, there's still a way to work on your goals. And it depends on the goal, but maybe it's educating yourself and so on. Anyway, we are deviating.
Different pathways. But we'll give you some suggestions, I think, anyway, as we hit these topics. So I think we always start on step number 1. We like to reflect what's happened back in 2020. And I think we also want you, and as we are doing this, sort of not disregard, but sort of separate what's happened as far as, the disruption in the world, which probably has caused disruption in the business, but seeing, what has gone right and what has obviously gone wrong for you in your business. Isn't that right? Really sitting down and reflecting there, which is obviously what everyone's doing, but trying not to focus on what the pandemic has obviously done, but keeping that in the back of your mind. We were talking about this just before we hit live, because with that flexibility of mindset, like we were just talking about, I really think that a lot of businesses, and maybe you have as well, whoever's listening, have it's really pushed you to think outside the box this year in 2020, as far as how you're reaching your customers, how you're reaching your clients, the value that you're giving them, and how that's being delivered. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, when I knew I would launch my book, I mean, one of my big goals for 2020 was to launch my book and to publish my book. But I imagined, for example, having a launch party in person and, signing books and so on, even if it's a small one. But that didn't happen. It was an online launch party. And to be honest, I was about to cancel it. I thought there's no point. It's not, I don't want to do it. But I did it anyway in a different way than I had imagined. And then I had fixed my mind too. And it was great. It was actually great.
Yeah.
So I can now reflect on that in a positive way, don't concentrate on the negatives, but I think acknowledge them, acknowledge what has gone wrong so that you know what you can improve next year. And whether definitely on the things that have gone wrong, because, something that you can control. I mean, yes, the
Yes.
pandemic you cannot control, but you can definitely control how you have reacted to it. Some
Yeah.
businesses have shifted earlier than others, so you can still shift. I mean, look back and evaluate. And you can look back and even evaluate like your calendar, how you've used your time. Have you actually done, the weekly newsletter that you wanted to do, like that you said in the beginning of 2020 that you wanted to do, and then check your calendar or check your newsletter and actually, have you done them? Yes or no? If yes, then celebrate it, acknowledge it, and also see how it has helped your business, if it is helping your business, all those kind of things. So really reflect on the things.
Yeah, absolutely. And get really focused about it and write it down as well, because we forget. It's been 9 months for most of us. We forget what we were like back in March. And I literally feel like February was like 10 years ago. It doesn't feel like what happened in February, March felt like it happened this year. It feels so foreign. So we've completely forgotten. And a lot of businesses obviously, picked up and they put everything online. So, people were able to do courses online and do things, create content that they could put online instead of physically actually going to see people, like the events. It was a huge thing here in Australia, especially like in Dubai. Events are massive, and they just got obviously everything canned. So, but then online things happen a bit like your book launch. So then, business, women in business communities, did everything online. They streamed, they interviewed people online. So it made them think differently. And like we said, I think we were talking about this in a previous episode, it had a huge impact then globally on the environment, didn't it? As far as people were flying less, and there's positives that have happened. And maybe you're one of those people, who I remember being one of these people in Dubai who used to travel a lot for work. That stopped obviously for a good 6 months, and maybe then you were able to spend more time with the kids. So, and maybe you got more done because you weren't sitting in an airplane, for hours on end. So yeah, I think we've got to really be quite specific about what worked well, what didn't work well, and then what you can continue and basically scale for 2021.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And you could even go a bit further and see what worked well for other people.
Yeah,
and
you could.
Maybe see, if you have a friend or another business that you admire, and see what worked well for them and how they did online networking or online book launches or an online course or whatever it is. I mean, I see a lot of podcasts have started, by the way, in 2020.
Yes, so have I. Yeah.
So see what worked well for other people, and maybe that's something you can adapt for your business and so on.
Yeah.
So that's the first step. Always reflect and go back and, see the positives, see the negatives, see what you can take into the next year.
Yeah. I like it.
Okay. This next one that we wrote down was determination versus motivation.
Yeah. I love this topic. It came up because I think I might have stolen it from another podcast, to be honest with you. I don't actually know. I can't remember where this concept came up of, but I can't remember if I was listening to another podcast or whether I was just listening. I don't know. But I found it so interesting because we talk about it a lot, and it's sort of just the penny just dropped, because it was like, we're not always motivated. And I think this is why we're doing this episode as well, because we need to normalize that we are not 100% motivated when we get up in the morning, and that's true of us as well. So we're definitely not here to tell fibs, of what we do, because we just like anyone else. But then this person, I can't remember, I wish I remembered, but the thought process and the mindset shift was to think about it being determination of what you want to achieve, and then that will then motivate you to then move forward, or to take that first step to then move forward to reach your goal. So I thought that was a really good sort of analogy really on how to view, maybe in 2021 and moving into it, because people are really, unmotivated at the moment and are a bit frightened, like I said. But if you're thinking about the determination of what you want to achieve in 2021 and what you want your life to look like, and we'll go through that in a minute, I think that the determination needs to be there first.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, I can so relate. I'm exhausted. It's the end of the year. I'm exhausted. I really look forward to having a break. And honestly, I'm like everybody else. I'm like pushing 2021 away in a way. Yeah. Because I'm exhausted. But on the other hand, I have this determination. I know what I want to do, what I want to achieve, and why. And which brings us to the next point.
Yeah.
I know why I want the things. So that helps me a lot. And that helps me to sit down now and plan. Yeah. Even though I actually don't want to. I mean, I'm just like everybody else. I'm like, I still have so much to do until the end of the year. And there's so much going on, like all these things that we need to do in preparation for Christmas, for the business or the families. But then I have this determination that I want to start like next year on a high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out the gate as fast as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I really love that. And I think that's going to go, I've got a vision board and it's carrying through, to be honest with you, because when I did it quite late this year. I think I did it like March or April. And it was to continue through to 2021. But I think I'm going to put determination on my vision board. And I think that's actually going to be the word of the year. I love the word of the year. We've talked about this before. Of choosing a word of the year. And I think like determination is going to be like, is the one of the words.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Maybe I'm going to copy that. I'll
yeah. Yeah, no, I think a word, we should do a little podcast on choosing the word, but definitely choose a word for your year. Yeah. I really do think it helps. You can stick it everywhere.
Yeah. Definitely. We chose words for the whole family. Like everyone chose a word.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in order to, dig deeper into that determination, it's again digging deeper into your why. And it's always good to remember and to remind yourself of your why. And the beginning of the year, I mean, it's good all the time, but the beginning of the year is a good place to start or to think about it again. Yeah. What is your big why? And you know what? Dig deeper. Say something, what is your why? And then ask why. Go deeper. Why? Why? Ask it like 10 times. So go deeper and deeper and deeper and be really honest with yourself. And, sometimes it's good if you speak to somebody else about it, because then they do question. So when I say something and then Kyla says, why? Oh, why is that? And I'm like, I don't actually know, but it is. And then I start thinking a little bit more about it. But it's so good. The real why you do something could be something else that is so obvious to you, or might have changed. Might have changed. With my book, my why has become even stronger. My why then, it was like the why for the website business was different to my why now. It wasn't hugely different, but it has become a lot stronger now. A lot more. So digging deeper on your why and knowing your why helps you with then setting the goals.
Yep.
You want to add?
I love it. No, honestly, that's because I'm daydreaming, thinking about my why, to be honest with you. Because I think that you like digging deeper with your why. She's laughing because I'm like off with the fairies if you're watching the videos. So I was just thinking about my why, because I always connect my why with like how I want to feel for when I'm achieving what I want to achieve. Because if you're numb while you're out there pursuing that why, for me, it doesn't satisfy, I don't know, just an inside feeling that I go for. Because I think most of us sort of thrive on that adrenaline feeling of reaching a goal. It's a bit like, when we train and when we exercise, you love that sort of those endorphins.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same when you're trying to go for a goal or what you want to achieve. you want to go for your why, but I also want to focus on how I want to feel while I'm achieving that or while I'm striving for that. And that's usually like, you know, what I want to feel and then how I'm actually going to do it. So there's actually layers of questions that you can ask yourself as well as you sort of dig deep. But I think concentrating on it, I think your why can be as simple as you want it to be or as complicated as you want it to be. Obviously, the simple, the better. I think that then you can simplify what you need to do in order to achieve it. Yeah, but there could be an overall, you know, I don't know, personal why of why you want to build your business, you know, at the end of the day. I think it can get really quite deep. It just depends on the type of business or the type of goal or the career that you're wanting to step into.
Yeah. But it's good to write it down. You know what I like to do? I like to do in my planner or in a journal that I have for the year to write down the why there. And then what we talk about next, the visualization. Well, I can never say this word, but the planning
visualization.
For next year. Thank you. The planning for next year. So because then you can go back at the end of next year and look back what you wrote down, and you can say actually this year maybe wasn't too bad because my why and my plan for this year was X, Y, and Z, and I have achieved quite a lot out of that. So that's why I like to keep a planner. And I mean, I'm always about planners, and I have, this year I designed a planner together with somebody else, and it's on Amazon, and there's some other designs there. But basically what it says in the beginning is define your dream life. I don't know if you can see it here on the camera. I'm holding it into the camera for anybody listening. But in the beginning it has like 2 pages, and you know what? You can take a journal and write longer, but in the beginning it has some space to define your dream life or your dream business, just like dream big and write it all down. Write all the things that you want to achieve. And it doesn't need to be about this year, but just allowing yourself to dream big what you want your life to look like within the next 5 years, maybe. Think about how you want to feel in 2025. Where do you want to be in 2025? Where do you want to go? How do you get there? Where's your business? All of that, like just dream big, because do your vision board.
Yes.
Because, and like Kyla said, hers goes into the future. It doesn't only need to be for 1 year. I had one before the one I had for this year for 2 years, the one we did together, I think. And the thing is, if you have it all written down, you can go back and see, okay, out of this huge dream life, this like that I've just written down, I want to achieve this one thing next year. So you can take one thing or 2 things or like a few things, but however much time you have or however motivated you are, whatever you think is realistic. But for me, I'm taking one thing that I want to achieve out of my dream life idea. So I have obviously this fashion business that I'm setting up, and I have a lot of ideas around it. And in 2025, if I visualize it, I have, a factory and a charity and all these things that I want to do. But for next year, I have one thing that I'm taking out of it.
No, but it's true, like picking that one thing. I was daydreaming again. I hope people are still with me when I say that I daydream during our podcast. But because I was just thinking about my vision board, and because has been sitting like behind me if you're watching the video, but I rearranged the room because now I've got the Christmas tree there. But I looked at it last night, and I had like some pictures on there. Firstly, I had like a picture of what my bedroom and like the colorings of my house, because I've been redecorating. Hello, exactly the same as like the picture on the board. And I didn't even like the same colorings, the mustardy colors with the pink, with the grays. Then I looked at the top, and I had cut out degree qualified a natural practitioner, like natural health practitioner. And then, like I just said to you before we hit record, I've decided to enroll into university now instead of doing just a nutrition course because I want to do clinical nutrition. And like I just saw it last night on there again because it's just like a snippet, like words.
Wow.
So it's freaky when you do your vision board and then you because I look at it, of course, because now it's right in front of me because it's in the bedroom. But I looked at it, of course, every day. But I just it doesn't sink in until you actually have like made the decisions, and then you put the 2 and 2 together on there as well. And there's always there's this quote on there, and I've been saying it so much in the last 6 months, and it's you already know.
Yeah.
So like whenever I'm doubting myself in the last 6 months, I've been like looking at my board, and that's the first quote that comes up. Like you already know. And the thing is I already know the answer to what I've been, either procrastinating about, thinking about, considering about, and juggling, that overthinking. Yeah. So, and then I'm like, I already know. I've got to either do X, Y, and Z.
Gut, you always know.
Yeah.
That's something I'm saying in my book as well. Your intuition, and deep down, you always know.
You always know.
Sometimes you don't allow yourself to know. Sometimes you think you don't know, but then you actually need to. That's when I meditate on it and I sit and really like dig deeper and yeah. Because deep down, exactly, what where you want to go and what you want to do. And the vision boards, but it also really helps to write it down, to actually like on paper, not on a computer, on paper, by hand. I know my daughter always says my hand hurts. So I know the hand hurts these days when you write, but it's such a good tool. And, even if you never look at it again, maybe someday you will find it and look at it again. But just doing it, having the connection, from your brain through your arms to the paper is such a good tool to allow yourself.
Absolutely.
To think big and to dream big and to make it happen in your head already. And by making it happen in your head, you have done the first step.
Yeah, visualization is very powerful. So I even visualize things that I want to have, like what I want to buy as well. And I visualize it like in my house, or I visualize it wearing it, or, something like that, and then I just do. And then I end up just getting it somehow. Either I've saved up money to buy it, or somebody's given it to me as a gift, or whatever it might be. It just comes, So, but I think just having that focus, the visualization, I think is super powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And now we come to the last step, really, to the more nitty-gritty, to the actual work. I mean, until now it was all like a bit more mindset and dreaming and so on, but now you need to pick. So what we do, because we said we would do this for 1 quarter, for the first quarter, but what I do is I pick one goal for the whole year, and then I divide it into sub goals, ideally 4 goals, 4 things that I want to achieve throughout the year, throughout the quarters. And then I divide them even further into sub tasks or sub goals, sub steps that I want to take. And then I can start working on them like bit by bit. So my overarching goal is maybe too big for me to start on in January, but then I can break that down, and I have a goal for January, and then I have a goal for February, or I have a goal for the whole of like the first 3 months. And in this planner, I mean, do it in any planner or do it on a piece of paper or whatever, but it says here, what we did is we defined, like, I don't know if you can see it, but 4 goals, and then all the tasks that you need to do in order to work on those 4 goals. So if you have the goal of having your website up and running by the end of January, that's my goal. Like, what do you need to do in order to do that? I need a PayPal account and all of that. I need to have the payment system set up for my website. So by the end of January, I do want to have this website finally up and running. I know I've postponed this a little bit, but now it's that's my
happening.
Main focus. Yeah, exactly. Because up until now, the book was really the focus, but that goal I have achieved. It's, even though the sales are still ongoing, my big goal was to publish the book.
Yeah.
So my big goal was to actually do it and publish it, and everything that is now coming, the sales and maybe a talk about it or podcast invitation with somebody else, it's like a nice to have. It's like an icing on the cake, but it's not for me. And maybe some, my husband would be like, no, you need to sell it now,
And you're like, no, next stream.
Next stream. I'm already working on the next stream. Yeah, but the thing is,
doesn't know this, but I want to do this. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
that's hilarious. Yeah,
but now my whole focus goes on this new goal, on actually having this website up and running, and with it, the selling on Instagram, like being able to sell on Instagram as well. With it, all these little sub goals that I want to have that I'm writing down. So that's one goal. And then the second goal is for the second quarter. Or maybe if you're more ambitious, you can have 3 goals or 2 goals for the first quarter. But writing it down and then breaking it down into sub-goals. And then what I do is I write for each month. So I have like this overview here for each month. And you don't need to do the whole year now, but you can, what you want to do each month.
Yeah.
And it's a good reminder if you by come March, you haven't achieved anything that you wrote down for January and February. You have a lot of catching up to do. But it's a good, good reminder to write it down. And then I go more like even deeper into each month. And I have here like an overview of the whole month, what I want to do, but I have 3 tasks. So what are the 3 tasks out of that one goal? So for me, it's a website up and running that I really need to do in January. So I have the payments, gateway systems, and the banking and all of that set up. But for me, as I said, it includes the Instagram. So I want to be able to sell on Instagram. So I need to set that up. I need to have a delivery process in place. I need to have an accounting in place. I need to have, that's more than 3 tasks. But I need
that'll
to
be
have
the next month. Yeah.
But I need to have all of that in place, like a system of where the products are going and everything. I need to have all of that in place in order to have my website up and running properly at the end of January. Yeah. And then I'm going to do that for each month. And then I'm going deeper into each week and dividing each week again. And then we go into the nitty-gritty, which you don't have to do right now. Right now, I would sit down and plan January, February, March, have the 1 goal or the 3 goals and break them even down even further. I think if you do that now already, you are so ahead of everybody else. And you can set your mind already, because I know by the end of January, I want to have this website up and running. I'm preparing already. I'm preparing my mind. I'm preparing tasks already that I can do. I'm having a photo shoot already because I need to have photos on the website. Obviously, I'm working on it already, but still, because I know I want to have it like up and running perfectly, not only up, but running, like the whole system in place. I'm prepared mentally, and maybe I can use some of the holidays to work on it and so on. But otherwise, if I would only do this exercise at the beginning of January, I would be behind already. I would still have to make the appointment for the photographer and the model and, maybe,
all that sort of thing. Yeah, it's so true. And again, I think it gets super then overwhelming, and then that's where people freeze and they don't want to move ahead. So breaking it down, focusing just on January, February, March first, but then having that overall year goal is the best way to do it. Otherwise, you just get stuck. Most people get stuck when they think about the big goal for the year. So breaking it down for the first quarter, for the first 3 months, and then breaking that down again, I think is the best way sort of to move forward for sure.
What's 100%. Your goal? What is your goal for?
Well, now I'm back to uni, because why not? So that's my big goal, is to finish my Diploma of Health Science by the end of next year. But for the first 3 months, I also want to start.
That's already by the end of next year?
That will be the next year, because it's a 1-year diploma first, and then I can use that to do like a bachelor degree. So it's like part of my bachelor, because then I want to start working in the industry. So that will be my foundation to then start working. But for the first 3 months, I closed my website anyway, so I need to get that back up and running under a different name and just as a landing page. But then for different funnels to people to be able to, like, obviously just to go somewhere at the moment until I get more content, go to the podcast, go to certain things, and then slowly transition it, over the 3 to 6 months, moving into that like health and wellness side. So, but again, I need to do a photo shoot. I need to have recommendations. I've never done one here in Australia before. Like those sorts of things like take time. So I've got a few recommendations. I've reached out to people already. And then, looking at what we want to do with obviously the podcast as well for the first 3 months. Like maybe we want to get it. I'm wanting to have a look at maybe getting it into some magazines here locally where I am in South Australia and all those things, but that all sort of ties in with the overall goal as well, of supporting women at the end of the day.
Love it. So we have the same goal.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're going to like spread the news, and we both want to keep the podcast running, I think, and keep that as an outlet, I think, to share and to support,
I think, Kyla, definitely.
Yeah. So,
definitely.
And it's interesting out there because a lot more people are doing podcasting at the moment, and wanting to reach people that way.
Yes, and that's why we will sit down and think about how we can be different, how we can move our podcast forward. We've already started by doing these live recordings in the Facebook group, but what else can we do? We need to explore whether we do some additional coaching or something extra around this podcast. And that's also something we definitely we will keep going, but how do we want to be a bit different and be like a little bit ahead of everybody else?
Yeah. And it's sort of having that differentiation, and it's differentiating yourself from other, women in the market who are doing, similar podcasts as well in a way, because everyone wants to support, women and women in business. So it's thinking really outside the box, which can be, it might need help, from external sources. It might need more sort of advertisement from our side as far as paid, because everything we've done at the moment has been unpaid and through referrals and word of mouth of our podcast. So, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting, I reckon, 2021.
And this is also a good reminder that obviously this planning you need to do if you have more than one business, or like us, we have a business and a podcast. You need to do this for all areas of your life. You can even do this for your private life. You can do this for your, healthy
fitness
life.
Goals.
Fitness goals, exactly. Eating goals. You can sit down and dream big where you want to be and how you want to. I don't know. Do you want to do this Ironman, or
how do you want to
feel and look and so on? And then what you need to do. I mean, because Gordon and I used to do the half Ironman in Dubai, beginning of February. We used to do this planning earlier in order to reach that half Ironman. But at the moment I have zero goals for my fitness. So maybe it's the time to dream again and do some fitness goals as well. At the beginning of this year, I tried being a vegan, or I started being a vegan. So that was so I've been like almost a whole year now. So that was like one thing for 2020. Is there anything else I want to do? It is the plan. This is not only, obviously this is a business podcast, but not only, because you can do this for all areas of your life and then take 3 different days, 1 day for the podcast, 1 day for the business, 1 day for your private life. You can even do this with your, what you want for your family. I think doing it with the kids is maybe a bit too big, but depends on the age of your kids. But doing it for your family, is there like a holiday that you really want to do? Maybe explore something. We've been exploring Dubai, like UAE, so maybe you want to explore your local area a bit more, doing something different, something that you haven't done before, maybe. And it's obviously about planning it. Nothing happens without a plan, because my dream is to to go to France, to a villa there, and live there.
Yeah.
I don't know, for the whole summer one day. But the thing is, if I don't plan it, I have no idea where to go. So
Yeah.
this is not for 21. Well, but still,
it's in
an
the mind.
example. It's in the mind, and it's an example that I need to one day. I need to sit down and actually plan this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you've got obviously the book, the website, and the fashion at the moment, which is sort of starting to come out. Is there a focus there? What is your focus then?
Yeah, definitely the fashion. Like I said before, the book I kind of have achieved. The websites I want to phase out. It's hard to admit it, yes, because that's bringing in the money. But no, definitely. I've noticed that if I don't concentrate fully on the one thing, on the fashion, that's not going to happen. I mean, I wanted to have this website up and running, but it's not possible because I was so focused on the book and still doing website design work. So my goal, like everything on my vision board, I'm looking left here because I have actually my vision board here next to me. And a lot of the things are on there I have achieved, actually. So this year has been actually a really good year for me. So I will make a new one, and this will be
all
fashion, or the clothing brand and all of that around it. So I do want to support a charity and all the systems that I need to set up for that. So yeah. But the charity bit, for example, is not going to happen in January. I know.
No.
So it's it's gradually working on it. Yeah, so that was great.
There's a lot. But I think I think the focus is how we've always said, the goals are still achievable, even with, speed bumps, as I like to call them, in the way, which there has been this year. But I don't think we want people to lose hope about 2021. I feel that with examples, especially, with, yourself, with launching the book and all of that going off, and I've just made a decision just to change, obviously, focal points there. You can change your direction, your life, even when other things are going on, because you are focusing on what you can control, not what you cannot control, which is obviously what's been going on out there. So, and that's I think that's the mindset, to be honest with you, for 2021 as well. The determination, if you want to take that as your word of the year, but also, having that mindset of you can only do what you can do as far as what you can control should be then the focal point. And then you'll get really crystal clear on what you want to do.
Yeah, great. And, I wanted to actually add the financial planning to this episode, but it's too long now already. So we will do a short one about financial planning.
Yeah, so I think so. I think everyone loves our financial planning.
Yeah, exactly. So just a really quick one we will do about financial planning. So stay tuned for that one. Apart from that, we forgot to thank everybody for listening, for reviewing, for being there for us, and all your great feedback. And I know there's so many podcasts out there. So that's why if you listen to our podcast, we feel honored, and we, and thank you. Spread the word. It really, really helps. Obviously, every review helps. Join the Mums and Biz Facebook group, but also follow us on Instagram. I put the link here, Mums and Biz Podcast. It is. There's some different things happening on there. And then obviously you can follow us at Emilia Ohrtmann and Succeeding in Heels as well. And we forgot, Kyla, to mention one specific person. Now I didn't check for one specific review.
I know, we do. We'll have to do that the next episode. But we have so many reviews now. So you can review on iTunes and Spotify and SoundCloud. So go over there and leave us a review, and we will obviously read them out in the podcast. But definitely subscribe, because then you get the notifications of when a new podcast launches, and that obviously supports us get higher and higher and higher on the ranks, and then people will be able to find us as well. So no, amazing. Yes. And then these videos, obviously, in our group, our Facebook group, I think we've got about 650 people in the Facebook group now or something. And then we also have them on the YouTube channel if you actually prefer watching instead of just listening, if that helps you.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is the long episodes. Yeah.
All right. I think we've got one more little short one before Christmas. So we'll say Merry Christmas in the next one.
Is it
Or
already?
they can...
God, now I'm confused. But yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to do one little one before Christmas, and then we'll say Merry Christmas in the financial planning one, I think. And then we'll see you in 2021. But definitely, I think block out some time this week. Great week to do it. Second week of December. All righty. Okay. We'll see you soon.
See you all. Bye-bye.